Hello guys, this video is for people who are having problems with the transmission with the Ford Escape 2013 to 2016. A lot of people having problems with those vehicles. I'm going to show you a few things could go wrong with your car. Some of them are easy fix, some of them are expensive. My problem luckily was very cheap. I ended up fixing it for $10. But I want to show you what the vehicle does. The light pops up for the warning for transmission surface, um, and the traction control and the information from the bottom. Usually if it's yellow, there is a problem. If it's red one, that means it's stop immediately, or at least, as soon as possible. Just a little warning, the video is a little loud because I'm driving. The light was on. I deleted it while I was driving because the scanner was hooked up to it, and then drove for a little bit and it came back. So see what happens and see if you got those same lights. By the way, disregard the airbag light. That is not part of this issue. So after this light pops up and this a lot of music in there, your car would go in a limp mode and it will shift really hard in gear, and then it will go very slow. I wanted to show you from the beginning, but I think there we go. So the light is on. Okay, I deleted the light. I just did. So the code that I had, I'm going to show you what kind of code I had, so it'll be easier for you. The code I had, it was for the input, turbine shaft speed sensor, a circuit, no signal. Mine is broke, but I didn't know that at that time. I didn't know that. This is the code. Okay, there is another code I'm going to show you, but this one, P0715 and P0717 here. This is the same codes in there. This is the light, transmission fault surface now. That's what pops up. And this is the information light. When it's red, it means it's something urgent. And the traction control comes on. And the airbag, like I said, it's not related because this vehicle was in an accident. And knee airbag is deployed. So where is this sensor located for me? So this frame is the driver side. What you see, this frame, the red one here, orange, burnt orange. This is the frame for the driver side. This is by the driver side fender. When you open the hood, you get a little bit to the to the driver side, and you look under the fuse box, and this is the sensor right there. It has 10 millimeter, and it's supposed to have a connector, wire connector on top, and that's broke off, and that's why this vehicle is given a code. So this is a better view. That's the fuse box on top, and you look in the bottom, and that's the sensor right there. Okay, that's the transmission cover, front cover, and we are in the front of the vehicle. You look down and it's there on the edge. That's the turbine sensor. Sorry, my birds are a little loud. So I removed that sensor. This is where it's located. I located that connector. It's got a 3 wires, and that's the bottom where the sensor goes. The top is 10 millimeter to remove it. So that's if you have this code. Now, like, you got to watch the video until I finish it before you run and get this sensor. So this sensor, I ended up getting it for $10 from a salvage yard. I actually had two sensors, bunch of light bulbs that I needed for other vehicles too, a bunch of wires, and they charged me $20 for everything. I know the guys there. It depends on your location, your city and state, how much they would charge you for that sensor used. I would not pay more than $10 for it. It actually cost me less than $10. It's online. There's a couple websites in there. You can find them for $30 or so. You can search it and it's curved. I'm going to show you the picture of this actual sensor, how it looks complete. And in the stores, I would not really recommend buying it from the auto parts unless you have to, because everything in this part store, local part stores, for some reason, they charge three, four, five, 10 times what the part is worth. So look it up online first, and see how much it is, and then I believe this in most of big part stores they sell them for like $70 and up. So I would not buy this from a part store, especially if you experiment and you're not 100% sure. That is what the sensor looks like right here. This is the sensor. The top one is the connector. The bottom one is the sensor itself. And this is another code. That's the other code I wanted to show you. So you remember it was P0715, P0717, and this one too right here. It's a $07E8. Okay, so that's the three codes I have for the same exact sensor. And this sensor, I was deleting and it was coming back. I didn't know it was broke. So if you have a sensor, and this is a tip for you, if you ever had something like that. I'm trying to zoom in the picture and it's moving, so it's not letting me see. The other ones are moving except for this one. But what I would do for something like that, when you don't have a lot of leverage on the plastic to pull it out, I would heat up a screw, a sharp screw, a long screw, heat it up, and just use a plier or something, and then screw it into the plastic. Just make sure you don't overheat it too much, and then screw it inside the sensor, and that will stick really good. Stick it as deep as you can, and then just move it slowly after removing that 10 millimeter bolt. That's just if your sensor is broke. If your sensor is not broke and it's normal, it should not you should not have hard time removing it. You just wiggle it right, left, and it will come out, because it's really held by that. The pressure will be from that o-ring right here, so you should not have hard time removing that. So this is if you have these codes and the same exact problem. Now let's say you have a different problem and you're not sure where to start. First, I would think what happened before this problem persists. Like, why did it happen? Was it you're driving and all of a sudden it happened? Did something happen to cause this? So if you, let's say, give your car to somebody driving it, a younger guy or somebody, and they hit a curve and they don't tell you. So I've seen that before, where the CV axle pops out a little bit and would not reach the transmission, therefore it would not shift. So you put it in gear and the transmission is not, the CV axle is not all the way in the transmission. So I would check that, just make sure the car has not been hit before, especially if it was an accident. If you bought the car from those auctions, Copart or IA, or and you put it in gear, is not drivable, is not driving, there is a big chance that the transmission is good. So I would check the CV axle one. The other thing is you have to look on the mileage recommended to change the transmission fluid. I believe for those cars from 2013 to 2016, I think the factory recommends to change the fluid in about 30,000 miles or so. But you can look it up for your specific vehicle and engine, because those got one um, point 0.6 liter engine, 1.8, I believe. And but this one I have is 2.5 liter engine in it, and I believe it was saying 30,000 miles. I replaced the fluid, although the fluid was not that bad, but I was added because this car was bought from the auction and it was a smashed in the front, and I paid $550 for it. It's got 130 some thousand miles, 133,000 miles right there. So I paid very little money for this vehicle. So I bought a new battery for it. I changed the transmission fluid, which is another thing that you have to really pay attention. If you got a warranty on your vehicle, I would not do the transmission fluid by myself, because if there's anything happen, especially with those vehicles, the transmission is very common to go bad on them. I would take it to a good place or even the dealer to pay, if it's not too expensive. I believe is about $250 to, like I said, again, depends on your location, what place you're in. But an average of $250 to change the transmission fluid. Transmission fluid itself is expensive. But if you're doing it yourself or you don't have warranty and all that, um, at least you have to make sure to put the correct fluid for the transmission. You cannot put just any transmission fluid, not just with this car, with any vehicle. Do not play with that, because this would absolutely destroy your transmission if you put the wrong fluid. You're just basically gambling, and you don't want to do that, especially on a car you drive. So that's the one of the tips I got for you. Like I said, CV axle, transmission fluid, and check for that sensor too if you got a problem with transmission. But those, they have weak transmissions, and they go bad. So if you got burned up plates or bad converter, I mean, you just, sometimes if the parts are bad inside, there's no much you can do about it other than replacing the transmission. Hopefully your problem's easy. One of those things: CV axle, bad fluid. So if you take you take the dipstick out and smell the fluid and it was dirty, it was smells really bad, something like that, I will drain the transmission fluid. I would risk about $50 or $60 for the transmission fluid, and then put a fresh fluid. I'll let it drop as much as I can out for the old fluid. I'll let it drain as much as you can, and then close it up. So the way you fill up this transmission, they have you have to remove the front driver's side tire, and there is a bolt all the way to the transmission. You got to look straight on the edge of the driver's side, and you will be able to see um, a bolt with an Allen wrench, and then you take that off basically, and you put a fluid from the top of the transmission, and you just keep watching that hole. When it fills, basically it will start draining, and that's how it is refilled. So luckily, my problem, like I said, I looked at the transmission fluid. It was good, so I was happy about that. I was like, there's nothing wrong with this car transmission, because for one, it was smashed. So that means it was driving, obviously, before I bought it from the auction. So the vehicle was driving. It was very clean from the inside too. So I was like, yeah, those people have brand new tires, very clean from the inside. If there's a problem with the transmission, they would have fixed it, unless they would try to play scam and, basically try to claim the vehicle. Maybe that's a chance. But luckily, none of that was in this situation. It was just simply a broken sensor. Replace that, and it's all good. But like I said, the transmission smelled fluid smelled normal, looked clean. So I was like, yeah, this is the transmission has been surfaced before. The oil was good on both the transmission and the engine. So those people taking care of the car. So I did not want to give up on it that easy. And I wouldn't say this is was very hard to figure out because of the scanner, but the sensor itself, it was a difficult location where to find it. And like I said, that's where I found it on the driver's side right here. So if you have the output shaft sensor code, look at this sensor, look at the wiring, look at everything that makes sense. Look at the transmission lines and look at everything that's basically related with the transmission, and if the last resort, if its transmission is bad, then you just have to replace it, I guess. But hopefully your issue is easy as that, replacing that sensor. By the way, like I said, I bought this from a salvage yard, people that I know, I deal with all the time, so they're really cool, and I ended up costing me less than $10 because I bought two of them. Well, hopefully this will help you. Hopefully this will get you going. In my opinion, would I own one of those if I wasn't a mechanic? I would probably stay away from them. I would have definitely not buy them, but because I know how where to get the parts from. I know how to get them cheap. I know how to rebuild the transmission and all that. So to me, it's not a bad car to own for me. But if you're not a mechanic, probably this one is not for a general public that, if you're not a mechanic. One thing I want to mention on top of what I said is I don't know why my phone is just moving around by itself. One thing I want to mention is the solenoid. So if you have bad transmission shifting, this one was shifting really, really hard. From when the engine is off, you start it up, you put it in gear, those codes are on, you put it in gear, and it slams the gear so hard, you feel the transmission is going to be destroyed. And I don't recommend you drive that vehicle at all, really. And it slams the gear really hard. So if you try to fix all what I mentioned and nothing seemed wrong other than bad transmission fluid, it smelled really bad, most likely you got a burned plates inside the transmission. Would that require rebuilding the transmission or put another transmission? But the solenoids too, there's a few, I believe 6 solenoids in there or more. You have to take the plate off from the front and look at those solenoids. Are they overheated? Are they broken? What's going on with them? Because you could have a really bad solenoid, and those are not that expensive. You can get them from online for very cheap, approximately like $20 is solenoid, but I would just put a whole set if I went at it. But yeah, you got to look at all options to, you know, look exactly what happened with your transmission. The main thing, if you get the correct information from the beginning, what happened before this issue occurred, that's going to make it easy for you to determine what made sense. Like I said, for me, getting the vehicle damaged, it made no sense that transmission was bad. There is a chance, but most likely there's something else that's going on. So hopefully you get your car fixed, you're back on the road, and you're happy. Hopefully this video provided you with some information that will be helpful for you.